Hi, friends, and welcome to Talking with Famous People. My name's host Eric. I'm the host of Talking with Famous People, and I'm someone who's learning to not read the comments. The shit people say. I go over the same fucking issues over and over and over again. FI users just do not seem to get it. Shit does not boil down to what I want or need. It should never boil down to that. When you are talking about something, like, for example, what type Rachel is. Hi, Jim B. And whether or not she's FI. Go ahead and make your arguments. It's fine. But none of the arguments should be related at all to why I shouldn't be taken seriously as a arguer in the equation because of my emotions or my bias or my interest in the matter. Those things, you're barking up the wrong tree. That's not what's happening. I was just reading a comment by Field of Dragonflies, and she was saying the reason people perceive me as Mia is because I have this powerful need to be seen as a robust thinker. I don't remember the adjective she used, but the thing is, I actually am a robust thinker. Hi, Rosemus. But it's like things that are important to me. For example, what's much more important to me than being a powerful thinker or a robust thinker or whatever it was she said is being good at music. Like, music's much more important to me. I've already, before I even started a YouTube channel, I had national champions as a debate coach, or at least as a director in debate. And I had national champion declamation before that. And, it's like, I already know in certain terms. Oh, that's fine, reasons. I I appreciate your willingness to undertake it at all. I've gotten lots of public recognition as a debate coach before doing YouTube stuff. I don't have any doubts about my abilities as a thinker. It may be important to me that people hear me, but it doesn't mean it's important to me that they perceive me as a strong, good thinker or whatever. I mean, if they hear me, then they give me an opportunity to make my arguments, whatever they are. And that's all I can do. All I can do is win or lose. And people can be either learn from that or not. If I lose, I learn from it. Other people lose, sometimes they don't want to admit it. The thing is, or they just don't admit it. It doesn't matter what they want, right? That's the key thing. It doesn't matter what they want. What matters is objectively, they're not acknowledging something that's been established in no uncertain terms. So, negative space typing. Let's talk about Rachel being an FI user and the difference between negative space typing and positive space typing. Positive space typing looks for indications of FI and says, see FI, see FI. And there's nothing wrong with that. And sometimes that's right. Now, Fuel Dragonflies is one of the people who insist, and there are a number of people who insist that Rachel's an FI user. And they're all using positive space typing because that's the only way you can conclude that. Positive space typing is starting with a hypothesis, she's an FI user, and then finding things to support that hypothesis. Again, nothing wrong with that. It's one way to look at a person's personality type and get towards it. However, a much stronger way is negative space typing. One thing that's definitely so is that Rachel is NI ahead of SE, and that she is NI over NE. There's no disputing that. It just is the case. Now, my saying it is the case is not substantial enough. Just it's not substantiation of it. So let me clarify what I mean. Consistently, day after day after day, Rachel gives singular responses to questions, singular interpretations of situations, and consistently, day after day after day, Rachel does not do this stuff. Well, on the other hand, and also there's this other angle that we should consider. She doesn't do that. So conversationally, I've had a lot of experience with her now, and she just doesn't talk like an NE user. She also doesn't talk like an NE fourth slot user or something. She's clearly intuitive. She has good insights and observations about things. She has excellent taste in music. She knows what's good and what's not. And she knows, she, before I ever met her, in at least one of her online accounts, refers to herself as the curve server, which is something a term I used to play around with, but it became too effing risky for me to mess with because I'm a creator. She's much more effing safe with it because she's a consumer, and also she's mostly anonymous underneath that particular moniker anyway. So the thing is, of course, having lived with her day in and day out, having stress tested this relationship as much as any relationship would be stress tested, literally, it's, hey, fly abruptly out from New York, leave everything there, and come live with me here at my parents' back house forever. That's a stress test easy to get. So, I've gotten to see, and she's gotten to see, we've gotten to see who we really are with each other. And most significantly here on the question is one of the negative space typing. So I can eliminate a lot of types once I know that NI is in the first or second slot. Now, I might not feel like that's adequate reason to confirm that NI is in the first or second slot. All I've established is that it's above SE. It definitely is, because most of the time we're chatting about ideas and not doing stuff. She doesn't have a desperate desire to do stuff. For her, doing stuff is like going out to run some errands for a little bit. So there's no possible way to say that she's SE above NI without ignoring all the reality. All of her interests are NI interests. All of her conversation is NI conversation. Her manner of speaking is NI. It's also the case that she consistently, when we've had fights, she's consistently said things like, erred on the side of saying, critiquing relationships in general rather than this relationship, critiquing dynamics between people in general rather than our dynamic. And she does that sort of stuff all the time. It's like she defaults to the universal. So we could come up with other possible ways to check NI versus NE, but at least I provided you concrete reasons why we ought to prefer NI according to me. Now, if somebody wants to dispute that and say, no, she's NE, then to meaningfully convince me or make an argument that she's an FI user with NE, let's say, you'd have to explain why it is that she consistently defaults to a singular interpretation over a multiplicity of them. You'd have to explain why it is she doesn't speak like an NE user. She doesn't go off on tangents and divergence and stuff like that. You'd have to explain why it is she defaults to universals, or you'd have to challenge the accuracy of my data. You could say, no, Eric, you're too biased to present what's actually going on between you accurately. You want too much for her to be man. Except it's simply not the case. I don't want her to be anything. I do want to not stub my metaphysical toe on her type, which means I need to get it right. Negative space typing allows me to get it right because it allows me to eliminate certain possibilities without even dealing with them directly. So you might say, well, she seems very FI to me. Well, that's not a reason to conclude she's FI. We need an actual warrant like the ones I provided about NI. However, even if you were to convince me somehow that there was FI, we'd still be looking at NI and FI together, which would mean ISFP, or it could mean, she couldn't be ENFP, she couldn't be INFP, and a lot of people are saying ENFP. She'd have to be either ISFP or ESFP, but we know she's intuition above sensing. So that's not possible. Now, you might say that's not sufficient reason to eliminate those two possibilities, but where's NI above FI? Let's see. INTJ? No. ENTJ? No. It's just those things, you can eliminate those right away. The polar TE is so obvious. Like, she struggles with this padlock that goes through a hole in the gate. Like, do I have it right? The polar TE is stunning sometimes. Polar TE people are funny the way they can't seem to figure out basic shit. That if they haven't encountered it before, they don't have any cues as to how to do something, they are lost. Like, there's zero chance that Rachel was ever going to figure out how to get the TV on. Why? Because it required her to change the input from one thing to another. And if you wanted to know in advance how to change the input, you need to look on the back and see what hole the plug goes into. That is way beyond her capacity to do things. There's no way she would ever be able to put the TV on. It's like when I came back from work one time, I realized I hadn't changed the input. She was just like, I couldn't figure out the TV. That's polar TE, okay? It certainly isn't first slot or second slot TE. So we can eliminate the ENTJs. This is negative space typing. Taking what you know and seeing what you can eliminate, not what you can determine. Negative space typing is much stronger than Jester's Court. You've got to be talking about yourself there. There is no indication at all that sort of thing, problem solving, how to get the TV to work properly, how to get the cable in the right channels into the right hole and the input correctly, that's TI. If you think it is, then you're probably self-identifying as polar TI. You thus far seem like an ESFP. I haven't really watched but about 20 seconds of your garbage, but yeah, basically just deductive reasoning. What can we eliminate for sure? I don't necessarily know, based on my NI data, that she's NI dominant. She could be NI second, potentially. That would be consistent with the NI data I've presented. But the problem is then you can say, well, what happens if it is second? Well, then she's an ENTJ or an ENFJ. Now, ENFJ is ENFJ is, I'm done with you, Court Jester. You're a fucking clown. Anyway, okay. Now, also, we've got to look across. That's a great joke, Winston's mom. What do you call a bear that changes his mind every couple of minutes? What do you call a bear that changes his mind every couple of minutes?
What?
A bipolar bear.
Oh, that's a good one.
That's a great joke, Winston's
Yes,
mom.
it is.
So here's the thing. Like, let's say there's a video called Rachel and I Are Breaking Up, in which Rachel and I are both very emotional, and there's a lot of FI in the mix. Everybody has FI. Okay, there's no disputing that. And everybody ought to use FI as much as possible in their relationship. It is difficult for FE users to use FI. Rachel and I have a hard time being not retarded when we're FIing with each other. It's like we both are like, I don't know what to do with all this emotion, you know? We're very smushy mushy. We're that couple that discuss people. You know, it's like if you were watching us when we think we're not being watched, you would start to vomit all over the place. So I mean, I would probably vomit watching myself. You know, it's like I hate people who act like that, but I am one now. So, you know, it's like, right. The thing is, it's very easy to mistype FE tool as FE dumb at first. I did it with Kimberly. I thought she was an ESFJ at first, and then I realized she's an ISFJ. Because when are you going to see that FE most of all, and the tool function most of all, is at the beginning of a relationship, when the person wants to be going to their wheelhouse, what's comfortable making sure they're doing a great job. An FE tool user is going to be really FE on point, and it's going to seem to overshadow their dominant at the beginning of a relationship. You were mistyped REE, retarded ethical extrovert. Oh, I'm sorry, Dolan. I am so sorry that somebody typed you as a retarded ethical extrovert.
Dolan! He's back?
Yes, Dolan's here.
Hey, he's an ENFP, right?
I don't know. He just said he thinks he was mistyped REE, a retarded ethical extrovert. Anyway,
that sounds about right.
So the thing about wanting Rachel to be an FI person, or arguing that Rachel is an FI person, is you've got to choose. You got to come up to the terms with the fact that you're going to have to. She's going to have to be one of those 8 types that have FI. She can't be something else. She can't be an FI person without being one of those 8 types. And the problem is that when you start looking at those 8 types, it's easy enough to eliminate all of them on various grounds other than FI. And that's what I mean by negative typing, negative space typing, is you try to answer the question indirectly or, deductively as well as directly. If you're looking at too much for direct indicators of a given function, then you're going to be very much at risk for mistaking correlation for process. And correlation and process are different things. Jen, the INFP, chaotically minimal. Been a while since I've seen you. It's nice to see you. How are you and your husband doing in Australia? Or is it England? One of those 2 places or someplace like that. And you're a small child. Are you a happy family proceeding forward through the Australian summer, playing with the great white sharks, skinning your knees on coral reefs, and throwing yourself into the pouches of kangaroos? That's my question for you, Jin the INFP, chaotically minimal. I remember a lot about you for some reason. I remember you have a husband and a child. You moved from England to Australia, if I remember correctly. That's a remarkable amount for me to remember something. I don't know why I remember that about you, but I do. I know you aren't asking me, but I tried getting water without fluoride since it replaces loading, since they have the same amount of valence electrons, which stops development in certain parts of you. Which parts? We're good, thank you. No sharks. Lots of dead brews on the side of the road lately, though. Is that where they go to kill themselves? Is that like their Japanese hanging forest? Hi, Jean Grey, says Winston's mom. I thought of you today when I listened to a song by the Monkees, Shades of Grey. Wait, how much is the typing service again? 100 United States dollars. Bum, bum, bum. That's how much it is. Email Isaiah Rude. I need to have a meeting with him, actually. Ned Ludd 1811. Hey, how are you? My name's Eric. Your name's Ned Ludd 1811. So, I want anybody who's in the chat right now who does believe Rachel to be an FI type to lots of brush fires, so they end up running onto roads. The kangaroos, I see. Well, I mean, they're not like they're endangered or anything, right? There's shit tons of them there, yeah? You guys ever eat them? Roadkill kangaroo? Do you ever eat roadkill kangaroo?
Mm-hmm.
Roadkill Kangaroo is a good name for a band.
Yeah, it is.
Eric, have you watched the video of 6 ENTPs talking? I'll check my history for the channel. I don't think so. Definitely don't.
I'll look it up.
Jean Gray says, hi, Rachel INFJ.
Hi, Jean Gray.
And I want the people who think that Rachel is FI to step up, and I am one of the ENTPs. Oh, I mean, it's like a video where they cut little cuts of different ENTPs talking. I think you should pioneer that, Jen, the INFP. You should start a blog called Urban Homesteading in Australia. And your main driving engine of it is Roadkill Kangaroo. Or Roadkill, what's that other kind of marsupial you got down there? Wallabies?
Koala?
Is koala a marsupial?
Yeah.
Maybe. Do you have koala
Yeah,
bears there?
pocket.
Yeah, okay. We got other marsupials too. You're full of marsupials. Let me just say, in America, we only got one marsupial, and it's gross. It's the possum. The world's
I didn't know that.
grossest marsupial. Yeah.
I didn't know it was a marsupial.
Yeah, they're marsupials. Something kind of gross about marsupials in general, Like, what are they?
They're pretty aggressive too. They're known for being aggressive. Like even koalas, they look like they do sleep all the time, but if you try to get close to them, they're nasty.
You
They
can't
have a
have
reputation for being nasty.
you can't have one as a pet. Dolan, you should tell him no more TI shit, yo. It's not helpful. Platypus, echidnas, marsupial mouse, bilbies. What do you think about lucid dreaming? I've had lucid dreams before. But I don't think, it's kind of fun, I guess. They usually don't last very long. I remember when I used to have more lucid dreams, I invariably turned them into sex dreams and then I'd wake up. It's like, that's what I do with my all powerfulness is I start scoping chicks, But that was a long time ago that I had lucid dreams. I haven't had them in a long time. There used to be many more species of marsupial in North America. They actually originated in and migrated to Australia by Antarctica when they were connected. Really? Interesting. Say, look, you're really into logical consistency and systems in which variables interact with each other as variables rather than as, actualizing their meaning more directly. And I'm not good at that kind of shit. So let's go more about intuitive kind of thing. Like, let's freestyle shit. I'm tired of this music theory, math, or whatever you got going on. Our distance is 1,000 of kilometers. That is such fucking Euro talk right there. Oh my God, Jean Grey. Could you talk any more Euro talk? Our distance is 1,000 of kilometers. That's the Euro thing I've ever Euroed. Our distance is 1,000 of kilometers. Tell him to go fuck himself. Who is this music teacher of yours? Tell him he needs to go talk to Eric for a scolding. Yes, our distance is 1,000 of kilometers. Oh my God. Yeah, making any theories and abandoning them in too many variables are needed. The bane of all any Dom's law. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not that you abandon them. You go, I'll parse that shit out later. Let's move on to something else. Road growed med flowed? I don't know what that means. How do you get that zero with a line through it? Or whatever that is. I know, but the great phrasing about it, Eileen, was our distance is 1,000 of kilometers. That is just priceless. It's priceless Euro talk. Well, I mean, that's why the computer exists, and you have things like Google Photos and Google Drive. I mean, granted, I lost a lot of fucking data when my old computer crashed. All sorts of fucking shit that I had on there that I don't have anywhere else. It's a shame. Red porridge with cream.
Do you need anything from inside?
No, thank you, darling.
Over here.
Red porridge with cream. That's what Rachel calls my junk. Genetic evolution? Don't even get me started. Don't even get me started. Red porridge with cream, med Rassener, I, min, vin, linkst. Haha, Havad. Let me reverse the question. Winston's mom, do you experience difficulties in establishing and keeping a stable distance between you and ENTPs? The genome and Darwin theory is just cover for right-wing social sciences. Interesting. I don't get FI vibes from Rachel for what it's worth. She seems like a sweet FE user. That's true. She is a sweet FE user. But like all INFJs, occasionally she gets sassy. Have you considered playing with some ASMR? I've done a little ASMR. I'm going to do something right now. Let's do it. Let's do some ASMR. Let's do it. We're going to do that shit. We're going to do it, and you're going to like it. I'm going to touch your ear with my voice. I might also touch it a little bit with my tongue, which will be very moist on your ear part, your ear meat. Watch out, ear meat. Here we go. I'm going to read a poem to you. Let me pull it up so I can read it properly. I'm going to read it ASMR style, though. Very, 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 very dramatically. With my deepest and sensualist voice. If you thought you knew sensuality before right now, you thought wrong. For the first time ever, you know deep and true moist sensuality. The kind of sensual touching that makes you moisten all your dampest areas. All right, here you go. There was a girl named Frances Goss who knew what lived between her teeth, who was obsessed with dental floss, who queried then her brother Keith if teeth left unattended bore some little creatures who would build a hut or two, a general store, a barber's shop, a chandler's guild, a stable with a smithy near, until the motor car replaces, a ballroom with a chandelier where they would go to dance their paces. Her brother indicated yes and told her they were called the Dents. He warned his sister, don't forget that Dents would squat and pay no rents. These creatures were a nasty bunch who trod inside with mud on shoes, who got in food fights every lunch, who loudly voiced offensive views. But Keith again, now as before, made Frances roll her eyes a bit. She knew already so much more than he about these fabled dents. In truth, she'd known when she had asked, had learned of them from Pucker Tart. Yet she showed fear, though quite relaxed, that brother Keith might feel smart. These dents sound dangerous indeed, said Frances to the older Keith. I'll turn to you when next I need advice about my lovely teeth. But Frances's dents long ago had bended to her management, and long since learned how to forego their sloppiness and damaging. In fact, she'd put dents into groups and sent them out as work for hire. They passed out flyers and jumped through hoops and worked for years and then retired. And Frances kept inside her mouth, behind her second bottom molar, an old folks' home built facing south and powered green with only solar. Which brings us back to dental floss, the way that Frances kept things clean and stopped her dents from getting cross, and thus became their royal queen. The end. That poem is called Frances and the Dents, and I wanted to read it anyway. So, killed two birds with one stone. If you weren't having constant scalp orgasms, there's something wrong with you. I'm going to put a link to my poem in case you want to see it. It's a good poem. It's the kind of poem that makes you say, hey, that's a good poem. I would like to find somebody to illustrate this poem and talk to a book publisher of children's books and help me get it turned into a children's book and sell it and make a lot of money. But I don't want to do any of the work except for the work I've already done. The end. I also would like to get my other poem that's done. That's a kid's poem. into a similar kind of book. That one's Spud Browsbury. The courteous potato men politely sell potato skins as beards to wear upon their chins. Everyone with cash to spend, because potato beards distinguish one, and wearing them is lots of fun. And when the wearing time is done, then one can chew one's beard like gum, etc. Okay, so typing people is a challenging proposition sometimes. It requires a fair amount of ability to switch to different kinds of angles or approaches to the question of what someone's type is. I know myself that I have jumped to conclusions too soon many times based on apparent indicators. And then until I cross-check against other indicators, I've not really drawn any meaningful conclusion about somebody. So I try to keep in mind that sometimes really obvious clues are obvious but completely misleading, and that there are other factors than Dolan. It is kind of gay, but sometimes you just got to get super gay with your FI. Like, I like getting really gay with Rachel. Sometimes we get so gay that we take our clothes off and have sexual intercourse. In fact, pretty much every day. So, FI, it does lead to extremely gay behavior like sexual intercourse. Because you start getting so moist, it's like, what do you do with all this emotion? It's like it doesn't have anywhere to go. And it turns out it goes into your penis. And then your penis starts sniffing around, looking for somewhere to go, And before you know it, you've solved your FI problem. Basically, the best solution to FI is to fuck it out of her, We're going to have to just fuck this out because there's too much FI. It's thick and powerful, and it just causes you to go, ah. And so what do you need to do? Just fuck it out. It's that simple. Penis has a lot of FI. It's chock full of it. For sure. I mean, the penis does link to FI for sure. Like, Rachel makes me super horny all the time. Not just because she's a hot 34-year-old, which certainly helps. I'm not going to lie. It certainly helps, right? But it's also because I like her so much and we're so compatible. Yeah, I'm polar FI. It doesn't mean I don't have it. It just means I'm retarded with it. I'm like a 2-year-old with my emotions. So the thing is, it's not just that she's hot and sexy as fuck on some sort of objective level, is that we're ultra compatible. Like, she smells really good to me. I like her a lot. We chat all the time. We feel positively about each other in a genuine sense. We like the same things. And yet there's a compatible kind of intuition there that helps it to be really, really nice. Like, for example, she and I almost never start talking at the same time. Other action types, NE DOMs or SE DOMs, and I've discovered that when we're talking to each other live, we have the same sort of rhythm. We both start at the same time. Oh, my bad. It's like that kind of shit. Jenza says, yeah, I really hate FI for now. We'll probably go through a nihilistic stage where I stop caring about it, but it's due to FI polar. I mean, look, the thing that one hates about FI is that for people who use FI high in the stack, they can sometimes get obsessed with this FI calculation and put it onto other people. So let's say to you, Jenza, the only reason you're saying that is because it's really important to you that meh, which is, fundamentally a way of eliminating the meaning of what you're saying and replacing it with the alternate thing. See, FI people, they're like, you say words in an attempt to express the ineffable meanings of your real feelings. And you're motivated to do things because you have interests and powerful, deep, abiding qualities within you that are inherent that say, this is important to me and this isn't important to me. And so you do the things that are important to you because they're important to you. And you say the things you say because it's important to you for those things to be said and blah, blah, blah. For a TI person, this is frustrating because the reason we say the words we say is because we mean what those words say, not because we're attempting to express something that those words inadequately say. We mean what we say. We think that what matters is what the words mean. The FI person thinks what matters is what the person means and assumes that differs from what the words mean. So there's nothing wrong with either approach. It's just that in the tool slot, like ENFP and ENTP can be like, look at each other and both sort of raise their hands and go, how can you be so completely fucking wrong? Both doing it to each other. Now, depending on what they're talking about, one of them is right and one of them is wrong. They're talking about public policy, the ENTP is right. They're talking about relationships, the ENFP is right. But how do I question, should I be getting upset by this now? Then moist appears. Why do I question? Should I be getting upset by this now? Then moist appears. It's like I ask myself before you actually feel something. Winston's mom says, my FI is a 10-year-old little tomboy who was fierce and funny and always wanted to be Catwoman in a game of Batman. My FI is silly and goofy and she likes to play. She does not like drama. Dolan says, I'm supposedly FI auxiliary, but I don't think I do that. I'm very blunt. Well, do you smoke a lot of blunts? If not, that's probably your problem. You smoke more blunts. I don't smoke enough blunts. I almost never smoke a blunt.
Me too.
I always smoke bong rips, occasionally a pipe.
Yeah, and I like J's too. I like J's better than blunts. Blunts are like party, chill. You're not planning on going anywhere, and you can stink up a place.
Right.
You can't really be discreet with that.
All right, Freddie Chandran. You come right in, you land in a live chat with a nope. I mean, are you feeling fighty this morning or what? Shreddy Chandran, Shreddy Chandran. Don't smoke blunts. Why not? You make me want to go smoke a blunt now. So you're telling me what to do. You don't smoke blunts, Shreddy Chandran. Chill. Blunts are stupidly ineffective. Why are blunts stupidly ineffective? What's so wrong with blunts? It's just the same thing as a joint, except it's got a cigar paper around it. Hi, April.
Good morning.
That's what we were all asking. Where the fuck is April? She was supposed to be here hours ago. We didn't even start 43 minutes ago. We were supposed to be here ahead of time. Oh, you're saying you don't smoke blunts. Stick to bong. You know, if I were going to go to a party, like a youthful person, a crazy college youthful person, instead of being Edward 40 Hands, I'd be Edward Bongy Hands and duct tape 2 bongs, 1 to each hand. So then how would I pack the bowls? I'd have somebody else pack bowls for me.
True. Yeah, that's how they're that's part of Edward 40 Hands. You have to have other people help you out, usually, especially to get to the bathroom.
Bye, Shreddy Chandran.
Bye.
That's a good point about the bathroom. I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah.
Well, at least smoking weed wouldn't make me have to pee.
Right. I think that it's a good idea for it's so.
It would be a good. So if we have like a Halloween party, a TWFP Halloween party one of these years.
Yeah.
I will go as Edward Bonging Hands.
I like that.
I probably wouldn't last long. Even I want to go to pass by the shop for some blunts. Of course, I'm only passing by. Well, of course you are, Bruce. It's just mainly the reasoning that FI users sometimes, and their stubbornness and closed-mindedness for gammas like ISFPs. TI can be stubborn too, but that's if it's right and not proven wrong, mainly. Exactly. See, it's like, it's like my stubbornness. Well, Field of Dragonflies has some need to explain my stubbornness. And the way she explains it is I desperately have a need to be seen as a good thinker. I mean, I am a good thinker.
Mhm.
So obviously when people try to negate what I'm saying, I'm going to defeat them. I'm going to say, no, you're wrong. If they are wrong, I'm going to try, even if they're right, if I don't get it. But if I discover somewhere along the line that they are right, then I'll switch my course. You don't have Asperger's. You can gangsta Asperger's.
It would be Dolan.
Gangsburgers. No, I'm not watching the impeachment hearings. I'm not interested in the specifics of the ongoing clusterfuck of failure that is the American democracy. I'm interested in fixing it. I'm interested in being the alternative to this bullshit. I'm not interested in being depressed by watching it play out. I distract this diagnosis. It's bullshit. You distract it. I don't think you're using the right word there, Jean Grey. Negate, disagree, dislike, disapprove of, distrust. Yes, I distrusted too. Can you sit here for a minute and let me smoke a cigarette?
Mhm.
Thank you, darling. And there's bowls to be pulled if you
Cool.
At about 10 o'clock, I think I'm going to get my mom and maybe we go to the weed store. You can stay here, come with as you see fit.
Okay. Howdy, everyone. It's raining today in California. What's the weather like with everyone? I'm good, Zaylin Black. How about yourself? Just kind of preparing some breakfast for myself. It's pie that Eric's dad gave to me yesterday. I'm good, Jean Grey. I feel rested. How are you? Chaotically minimal. Jen the INFP, chaotically minimal. Is that your full YouTube name? I like it. Pain meds, Zaylin Black. What's up? What do you need the pain meds for? Usual gray Denmark weather here. So Dolan, when you have weather other that's gray, is it a big deal? Oh my gosh, Winston's mom. It's really funny that you mentioned making host Eric's father a lasagna. I've talked about making lasagna before for Eric. It's pretty easy if you get we talked about it actually, me and Eric, how lasagna is pretty easy if you get the pre-made, pre-baked like noodles, lasagna noodles to form. Right?
You purposefully make this like a third of a pot of coffee?
No.
You didn't fill it up with water. You don't put like a.
I put it up. I put enough for 6 cups.
Oh, okay. So you did that on purpose.
Okay.
That's how you want it?
Yeah. Well,
Did
yeah.
you put the normal amount of coffee in?
No.
You put less coffee in?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Germany's cold. Joel, Nathan, Henry, Rachel, if you ever feel in danger, make a triangle hand sign like that. Well, I always think about that with like the symbol with sports and like volleyball. You have to like triangle up. Yeah, Zayla, I don't know if the coffee is strong. I just wanted to make 6 cups. So I usually put in a little bit more coffee than I do water, just a little bit. But I don't know. If you're feeling dizzy, hit a fat dab. It's not bad advice. Illuminati. Someone, when I was on, I periodically am on Instagram every once in a while. Depends on my mood, really. If I'm looking to kind of make new friends, sometimes I go on Instagram, but it doesn't ever work out. Anyway, one time when I was on Instagram, someone who was claiming to be from the Illuminati sent me messages. This is the Illuminati sign. It's also a sign for volleyball. You have to triangle up and push out.
It's only a sign for the Illuminati who's got an eye in it. If the triangle has an eye inside of it, then it's a sign for the Illuminati. Well, no, I was checking Zaylen Black because I was thinking that maybe Rachel had accidentally put less water in than she wanted to, or had put less water in but put the same amount of coffee. I was just doing TE polar double checking, basically, seeing if that's what she wanted to do. If she didn't, that's fine. But if she had made a mistake, I was going to remedy it.
That is why it's I'm actually really happy that you did, because sometimes I do. Like I forget to put the water in the back of it sometimes, and I have to do it all over.
Yeah. This is why you look though it, Eric. Why you look though it? I don't understand what you mean.
Good gracious, if they claim they remember of anything, they're not. It's true. They're not really supposed to talk about it. That's funny.
That's cool. I bet people are like, I love this lasagna. Your lasagna is the best. I think this room is running out of oxygen. This room's not. It's raining outside. It's nice. It's a very cozy day. Rachel and I like being cozy.
Yeah, we do.
I think our 8th and 4th slot SIs really worked well together. Like, because we're both SI in the down there part, where it's not very super active. For example, Rachel and I both pee in the sink rather than walk inside the house. I really appreciate that. There's no SFJ, how dare you pee in the sink, which I fucking hate, And we're both like, we don't really, SI is important, but we don't like it regimented. Like last night was dinner time. Neither of us were hungry, really. We just ate a couple of bites. And then later I went to McDonald's and got us food.
Yeah.
And we have no problem eating McDonald's all the time. I appreciate that too. SI is important, but not valued in that regard. It's like the actual maintenance itself, I value it more than you do, but the physical part of it, the rah part is active for me. Yes, I do appreciate a woman who pees in the sink. I absolutely do. It's great. It's like she and I are very intimate with each other in that regard because we have the same attitude towards SI, and also because we're biologically compatible, which means when you're biologically compatible with somebody, it means you don't find them gross. That's the best definition of it.
True.
I've never found anybody less gross than Rachel.
Yeah, I don't find you gross at all.
And I'm kind of persnickety about that shit too. Like, in past relationships, I just do not have sexual intercourse unless it's straight out of the shower, basically. But that's not the case here at all because she's just so clean and just inoffensive in every way. She smells good, even when she's like, even when I smell a little bit of Rachel BO or something, she can put on deodorant or something. It smells good. It's like it doesn't even bother me. It's very mild, and to the extent that it has a gamey human gamey smell, it's a good one. It's like you're biologically compatible if the pheromones work like that.
Yep, and I feel the same way. It's the same for me. I compliment on your scent all the time.
Yeah,
I
she
feel like
smells me a lot.
I feel like such a goober. I'm like, I actually like your scent, and it can even be with like, like when even when you put deodorant on, I still think the deodorant smells good on you. Where I'm not sure I would on other people.
It's Old Spice. It's a special kind of Old Spice, though. It's not just regular Old Spice. It's one of those newfangled Old Spices. I put it on intermittently. It's Rachel, you know, we're the same like that. We both like brush our teeth at random times. We put on deodorant at random times. We take showers at random times. We eat at random times. The one thing that we both are both sort of actually working on is going to sleep and waking up at regular times, because we both get kind of destroyed by lack of sleep. If we're not rested enough, we get dark circles under our eyes.
True, this is true.
The other thing is our biorhythms are really lined up. So there's a very high chance. If I'm starting to feel hungry, she's also hungry. If I'm thirsty, she's also thirsty. If I'm horny, she's also horny. If I'm sleepy, she's also sleepy. It's weird.
That, yeah. I'd say there's usually a high chance that I'm on the same wavelength with you in terms of
physics and emotionals.
Yeah.
Mostly.
Right.
Most of all. Like yesterday, we both woke up from a nap. We were both grumpy.
Yeah.
And we deal with that a little differently. Like she starts talking shit about something and I'm silent. She starts talking shit about something fairly distant from me because she's grumpy but not interested in attacking me.
Yeah, it has nothing to do.
Yeah.
It'll just be like, I mean, I woke up grumpy and then I read an article about something that like boggled my mind and then boom, that's it.
Yeah. Okay. First of all, Dolan, you are absolutely right. The right poop, which is like the large loaf, one piece, no wiper. Of course, every no wiper is actually a two wiper because you have to check twice to make sure there's no poop. Okay. But you know, it's like if you had known ahead of time that the double checker would have produced no poop, then it would have been a no wiper. That's just the best. All one piece, the right amount of hardness, not too hard. You don't want it to scratch the inside of your butthole, which if it's too hard, it can, you know. That's not nice.
It can get bloody.
It can, yeah, if it's too firm. So you gotta have just the right amount of firmness. I don't even mind at all if it clogs the toilet at that point. It's been such a perfect poop, I'm okay with plunging. Yeah, the feeling after a large dump when you feel empty and free and liberated from your poo. Like as a child, I had a real hard time stopping playing to poop. And I'd be playing, I'd really have to poop, and I'd just sort of try to play a little longer. And then finally, I'd run inside and I'd poop. And then I'd be like, now I can play properly.
I heard somewhere, I forget where, that ENTPs hold their bowel movements and urination more than any other type, because I guess there's like this like disconnect with that. I
mean, it makes sense because I actually think probably it's possible. I would suspect ENTJs and ENFJs are even worse about it.
Or what?
Or worse. ENTJs and ENFJs, because they've got polar SI. But it's true that because I'm most of the time NEing, I'm only periodically attending to my body, and it is going to happen more when it's pressing on me than when it's not.
Yeah. That makes sense.
It's just fourth slot SI, Dolan. That's just fourth slot SI. As you get older, your SI gets better. Your fourth slot gets better as you get older. You get more effective at using it to self-soothe. You get more effective at anticipating when it's going to be a problem. Like the mistake I made on the mountain road was both an SI and an SE mistake. I should know from past experience is that that was an SI disaster waiting to happen. I was going to get car sick, but I ignored my experience and went with my enthusiasm. But this idea sounds fun with SE. Feels insatiable, comfortable feeling that stems from the back of my head when I poop without having to wipe. Right. Well, it's like your biology was just right then. It's like you ate the stuff and it produced a nice single poop, and your body was just like, this is how I'm supposed to operate. It's all about vibrations, but it's also about the type of vibrations, and most importantly, about shared vibration. Put that in your pipe and smoke it, man.
What is that
I
from?
don't know. What is that?
I like it.
I see. Yeah. Trying to anticipate and prevent SI problems is one area of growth in SI. That means realizing I really need to stop and think a second. Should I take a jacket? If you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, vibration. Nikola Tesla. Well,
Zubong, please.
Yeah. I'd like to say there are,
Thank you, sir.
various fundamental components to the universe, which are time, space, light, and agency or life, observation. Time is all about frequency and vibration. Light is all about I guess you could say, visual. Light is more the particle. Time is more the wave. Basically, the art of time is music. The art of light is image. The art of space is math. And the art of agency is language. So it's true that if you want to understand truth musically, you need to attend to frequency or vibration. If you want to understand truth logically, you need to attend to the metaphysical aspect of agency. If you want to understand truth holistically, you need to understand it somehow through the mechanism of synergy, which is mostly contained through light. That is to say, the revelation of entities as distinct from other entities on a visual plane. And of course, the other force that people don't talk about, that's massively important, is observation. Observation is the other fundamental force in the universe, besides time, space, and light, or energy. Observation is a force that we cannot separate out to observe itself because, the act of observation itself is an example of the thing we're trying to observe. So we can't get outside that box to observe it in that fashion. Do you want me to pack this for you?
Sure.
Is that what you're saying here? I don't know.
No, but you're taking the initiative and I like it.
You need to go outside? Okay. Dolan, you probably need to chill out and take some deep breaths, maybe run around the block once, get a little exercise.
Nature.
Smoke a few bowls. Always a good idea. If you don't have any weed right now, go get some weed. Which we're going to have to do in a little while. What's that fallacy where your argument always has an extra add-on thing that's not part of your claim just to fight off any objection? I'm not sure what you're referring to there.
Like, is this in debate or
Well, fallacies are generally for just all discourse, but I mean, there's nothing fallacious about spiking things out. Are you talking about special pleading? Special pleading is where you go, yeah, that's normally true, but what I mentioned with CSJ's model, I'm not sure. Begging the question? It's probably begging the question. I mean, certainly CSJ begs the question a lot, but special pleading is when people make the arguments like, the reason she doesn't seem like a normal INFJ is because she grew up in Minnesota in a bad part of town, and so she spent a lot of time learning about SE in the streets, and that's why she doesn't seem like an INFJ. So it's saying here's some particular element that excuses me from having to be consistent in the way that I am in other things here. So it's like, if you got to explain why this person who in every other cognitive function analysis seems like an ISFJ is actually an ISFP, and your explanation is that they have borderline personality disorder, well, then that's special pleading. Or your explanation is that their circumstances are forcing them into their ESFJ shadow, right? That's ridiculous. If in fact circumstances can cause you to change your personality type, then it's not a personality type. The very definition of a personality is that which persists in a person across time, is the same when they are a teenager as when they are 50 years old. You can see that personality is in fact a thing if you simply watch the little clip of video of me being interviewed about a proposed law in Arcadia back when I was in high school. What did I say in response? I said, I think this law is unconstitutional. The First Amendment guarantees the right to freedom of assembly unless there's some sort of violent activity going on. And normally a party doesn't have violent activity going on. And so as a consequence, that qualifies as a peaceful assembly. And there's no cause for this law regarding how the cops are going to deal with parties to be considered constitutional under that framework. That's what I said. And I would say the same thing now. I might make better arguments a little bit, but I'd make the same kind of argument. It's obviously a TI critique. It's saying we have a frame already in place legally to determine questions like this is the Constitution. Let's do a consistency analysis and see if this law is consistent with the rights laid out in the Bill of Rights, and it's not, and therefore we should negate it. Yeah, a false dichotomy is when you say something like, well, listen, do you love my poem or hate it? When there are really lots of other options. No, not all dichotomies are false. For example, every time you want to make a true dichotomy, you should say something like, is it the case that A, or is it not the case that A? Those two things, you have to pick one. They are actually binary. If you're saying, I ought to get to choose the restaurant tonight because it's my birthday, then I can ask you, is it the case that being a birthday means you get to choose if it's nobody else's birthday? Is that the rule we're appealing to here? And the person says yes or no. Is that the determinant point? Yes or no? Okay, yes. Well, then I get to do that too on my birthday, right? Yes, fine, no problem. That's a real dichotomy, using a real dichotomy in TI to attain fairness. So TI does use dichotomies all the time. And if it's done properly, it'll use real dichotomies. It'll ask the question of A or not A, because that's an actual binary. You're either making that claim or you're not. You can't sort of be making that claim. If you are, then you need to articulate your claim more clearly so that it's a definite claim you're making. Are you feeling you like something, or are you feeling the object hurts when it's used and don't like to be used? What? Who are you asking that to, Jet High? I don't know what that question even means. So rather confusing question. A red herring fallacy is a distraction from the argument, typically with some sentiment that seems to be relevant but isn't really on topic. I missed a lot. I ist a lot. I'm not sure what you mean. You're not sure what I mean about what? I'm not sure what anyone means about anything right now. I'm totally confused. I am so confused. Dolan, Jed High, Zaylen Black, and everyone else. I am utterly confused by my confusion. So, Raffle indeed.
Right? It's such a throwback, Raffle.
Raffle. Lamau and Raffle. Not to mention Bwahahaha.
Yeah, Bwahahaha used to be way big. It's not anymore.
Don't forget about Bwahahaha.
What happened?
Oh, I got 3 things to say. I got to say Lamau, Ruffle, and Bwahahaha. Okay, those are the 3 things I have to say today. If you're keeping track, if you're taking notes, please note that it'll be on the quiz. What 3 things did Eric have to say today? They were Lamau, Ruffle, or Rafflemau is also a possibility. Roflmao. And Bwahahaha. Will you type with Isaiah? Yeah, I plan to. I need to have a meeting with him. Is he here? Isaiah Root, are you here? Why aren't you
His
here?
number, right?
Yeah, I could call him, I guess.
No. Yeah.
I plan to
Yeah,
do.
have his. I think they do.
Yeah, I need to have a
should put it
meeting
in.
today with him. A meeting.
A meeting.
An official meeting. Why do I feel strong and genuine empathy against inanimate objects?
You're an inanimate object.
$100. But there's a sale code. But I don't know if it's been used up already. It only has 3 possible uses, but it's Burn Potatoes for Justice. If you email at me and you're willing to have your typing published, recorded and published, then it's half price typing, just $50. You use that discount code, Burn Potatoes for Justice, all one word. Okay. Gotta be exactly right, or else you won't get the discount. I'm just kidding. If you spell that something wrong, if you put BERN, though, no. I do not feel the burn. Okay. Right, all one word, Winston's mom. You got it wrong. No discount code for you. All one word. No caps. Can INTPs use physical TI if they have 7th SE? Yeah, it's just that it's like Spacey, for example, was in rowing. That's a perfect kind of sport for an INTP. It's the amount of vectors he's got to SE attend to is 1 or 2, his legs and arms. He doesn't have to worry about where he puts his body or anything like that. And conceptually, the idea of it is very straightforward. You want to go faster than the other boats. It's also a team sport, so he's getting direct leadership by the guy who yells at them the whole time. And goes like, stroke, stroke, stroke. I'm almost going to come. Stroke. What makes ENTPs naturally better at debate than INTPs? We aren't really. Well, I mean, to the extent that in instances when INTPs are better than INTPs, it's because INTPs are 2 TI, basically. Like, I'll tell you about my excellent INTP debater, Edmund, who refers to himself as Lit Legend. He sometimes comes around here in these live streams. And his problem was he always cover every base. Like, I've got to have this kind of argument in here and this kind of argument and this kind of argument. Because one time I lost a round that I lost because the judge said I didn't have enough meh. One time I lost a round because the judge said I didn't have enough meh. And he used to try to, basically cover every fucking possible base in a 4-minute speech, for example. And you just can't do that. You have to have you have to have a clear strategy that you want to attack with. You got to have offense. You got to have an offensive strategy that you want to drag the person onto your frame and keep them under your frame the whole time. Whereas in INTPs, the best INTPs, like my former partner in autonomy for a brief time, Denise Kimball, who was an INTP woman and former state champion of California in policy debate. She and I used to debate to a standstill over and over again. It would be, sometimes I'd win a little bit, sometimes she would win a little bit. Eventually I started to get a handle on her and I started winning more regularly when we argue. But basically, what did she do in the debate to become state champion? She debated like water. She'd always be pinned down on something vague and useless, and she couldn't ever be pinned down on anything concrete and useful. She'd win by doing nothing real in her case, and preventing the other party from successfully establishing that she'd done nothing real by manipulating the way that other parties in general don't understand, and that definitions have to be operationalized. And so, I always said she debated like water, and it was frustrating. What do I debate like? I debate like a team of Vikings pillaging a village. How to deal with snobby ENFP? I don't find ENFP snobby. I find them sanctimonious for no good cause sometimes, but not snobby. Did I type you as INTP in my card? I don't know. The only way you'll ever know for sure in my card what type you are is if I type you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even then, it won't be necessarily 100% sure, but it might be. And I'll tell you whether it is or not. I've never changed my mind about somebody I said I was 100% sure on. I don't think. Do any personality types have a harder time looking people in the eye? Yeah, the lower FE is in the stack, the less you are naturally inclined to look people in the eye. I don't like looking people in the eye normally. Just as I've said before, it's because I don't particularly enjoy parsing out all the FE data. I don't want the physical cues from your face to have me to interfere with my parsing of all the cues I need, which is in your language. I can pick up everything I need to know FE-wise from your tone and your word choice and your pace and other verbal things. I'm very auditory. I've noticed, I noted the other day in the car, as an NE Dom, I've got big ears and small eyes because NE is auditory.
Oh, yeah. I was wondering. I was actually thinking about that this morning. I was wondering, I'm like, was he talking? I know he was talking about facial features, but I didn't know if it was quadra. But yeah, NE, yeah, for sure.
And I noted that Rachel has big eyes and small ears.
Mm-hmm.
Now, she's an INFJ. My thing about that is INFJs are, and INTJs too, NI is more of an equal opportunity intuition. NI is good with music and with visuals, but it seems to be naturally visual. Why? Because wholes don't have duration. Singularities don't have duration. All auditory shit has duration. Now, you could look at an image and say it too has duration. That is to say, the duration, time you spend observing it and noting details within that image. But that's not implicit to the thing. It's not a quality of the entity itself, as is, say, a duration, a quality implicit to music.
That's interesting, Jupiter brain, because we were talking about that last night with my brother-in-law.
I mean, I don't find them difficult to distinguish, provided they're native English speakers. And the reason is because INTJs talk a certain way that INTPs do not talk, and it's pretty easy to tell the difference if you have an extended conversation with them.
Cool.
But if they are non-native speakers of English and they have an accent or don't speak English very well, it can be a lot more difficult for me to tell because I rely on a lot on auditory cues like that. It should be straightforward enough to tell, though, ultimately, because FE fourth is very much desirous of reassurance that the FE fourth person is valued, loved, appreciated, thought highly of by the world. They like a lot of very direct, kind of simple FE. You are okay. I like you a lot. You are good. Oh, cool, Hambone.
Mm-hmm.
I never typed you, Jean Grey. I don't know what to tell you. INTJs kind of speak in intervals, right? Well, INTJs, they think before they speak. They know what they're going to say, and they say it without any real attention to tone. Whereas INTPs think as they speak and tend to add more tangents and details as they occur to them. INTPs, like, for example, musically, INTPs they constantly like to find new shit to listen to. They don't really have a lot of like go-to things they listen to over and over again. That's because a few, but it's any tool function. It's conducive to because intuition it's INTPs have tended to use, as everybody does, their intuition when it comes to music. And so they're using their tool function a lot more with music. I'm using my tool function almost not at all with music. So it means they like to listen to new shit all the time, and weird shit that's different, even if it's not good, because they countervalue NI. Whereas INTJs are super opinionated about what's good and what they like and what's not good, but they're wrong. So it's pretty, at least INTPs are right about, it's like INTPs will be right in the following way. They'll pick the best examples from that pile of crap rather than the worst examples. But they're still not being discriminating about what ultimately is crap, not worth the time of listening to it, no matter how new and novel it may be, and what ultimately is good and worth listening to because you know it's going to stand the test of time. They don't evaluate things like that. So they're not as correct about music as ENTPs or INFJs. Well, yeah, you're right, Jupiter Brain. There are some types that are not subject to a polar-based narrowing down to two. It's nice when it works out that way. When someone is demonstrably SI polar, TI polar, or any polar, that's great. Then we can narrow down to two. But it's not my way of typing. It's like I said before. It's one of a multiple approaches I take: negative space typing, positive space typing, physical correlates, tone. All those things come into play. And I look to see. I find when you find the right type, they all fit together and none of them conflict with each other. And when you don't, you're having problems. You just keep stubbing your metaphysical toe on some sort of wrongness. So it's true that INTPs and INTJs can't be distinguished based on their polar, and you have to use other approaches. Primarily, you're going to use NE, which is very evident in INTPs if you get them talking, versus NI, because the fifth slot NE of INTJ is not active in conversation. It's active in other areas and active under the frame of TE. It's not
herpes.
No, I didn't take that. I did see that video though. I mean, I didn't see the video, but I saw. I got suggested that video. I guess I should say.
You know what's funny? I was suggested it too, and on the link, it brought me to a totally different like test where you had to like write stuff out and like I really tried to be patient with it, but I was like, fuck that shit.
Yeah,
It
you're right
seems
about that,
strange.
Mike Hart. Rufus, what type are you?
Mm-hmm.
What's a quick test to see if someone has S over N? You can't really get a quick test for that broad of a thing. You got to narrow down, first of all, basically, you got to determine which N or which S first. And depending on where it is, that can be difficult. If somebody has, like I do, SI in the 4th slot and NI in the 5th, it can be very challenging to distinguish between which one is front or back stack for 4-5. So if you have somebody who's typed with N with their knowledge functions, for example, 4-5, or their action functions 4-5, then you're better off probably to go a different angle. Of course, if you're 4-5, you're also 1. So in that regard, it's like it's easy to tell if somebody's got, if you determine somebody's NI and SE and they're 1-4, it's pretty easy to tell. If they're 1, they're not going to be very interested in, if they're 1 with the SE, for example, even if they're TI, they're going to have a limited interest in talking out all the potentialities of things, very limited interest. Whereas an NI person, you'll be able to chat ideas with them for long stretches of time. And, Rachel and I talk about cognitive functions all the time. Yesterday, I was trying to get out of the car to go to the ATM, but we were so engrossed in the conversation that it took me like 5 minutes to get out of the car practically. I opened the door slowly, get out of the car really slowly, stand there before I close the door, talk. She's talking, I'm listening. And okay, I gotta go to the fucking ATM. That's an N. Okay? That's N. Above S.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I get to the ATM and I'd rather sit there in the car and talk than just go get the money out of the ATM.
Oh, don't you think I might be an ESFP? There's nothing wrong if you are.
I mean, Rufus, I think you're an ENTP or an INFJ, one of the two. That's what I think.
You
But
should get typed.
I don't know what. I'll type Rufus for free
Cool.
if he wants to be typed, because
Yeah.
he gave me drums for that song, which were fantastic. He's a great drummer. I'd be happy to if you want that resource. Just shoot me an email or text Rachel or something. He gave me something of great value.
Yeah.
Let me use his awesome drums in my song and came up with drums specifically for that song. So it's like, of course, I'd be happy to provide equivalent service, It's not even really equivalent, but anyway, excellent drummers with good music instincts are incredibly rare in the world. Just for everyone's information, they are not easy to find.
THC levels.
Well, it's coming up on 10 a.m. I mean, it's time for me to take over for my mom. Take my mom and my dad's hands for a few hours. So I think I'm going to end this stream, and I'll see y'all later. I plan to make another video uploaded today about something or other. I'm not sure exactly what yet.
Like what?
Rachel Bobacho wants to say goodbye as well.
Bye. Bye, everyone. For my hair.
Yeah, you have Rachel's phone number, Rufus. What's your number again?
It's 516
516
582
582
4736.
4736. If you don't remember, push rewind and watch this video, and you'll get the number.
Yeah.
Winston's mom, could you link me to that 6 ENTPs thing you're talking about? I would like to watch that.
Please.
How many ENTPs are in your pants? 6 fucking ENTPs. Why do you have so much ENTPs in your pants? Because your pants are super big. Jeez. What's it called? Just tell me the title of that video, Winston's mom, again. I'll search for it if you don't have the link right now. Is it called like 6 ENTPs talking or
That's
something?
so funny.
And thanks, Winston's mom, for encouraging people to like, leave a comment,
Yeah.
chat. You know. Oh, you will link it when you upload? I mean, okay, as soon as I end this, it'll appear in there. So, okay. Oh, it's typology gifts. Cool. Okay, Dolan. Well, you know, I actually have I don't know what kind of music shit you do, but I have a beat that I was thinking about uploading and saying, anybody want to put vocals or rapping over this? I'm looking for vocals or rapping for this thing. So maybe I will do that. Put that up there. Hi, Countess. Bye, Countess. We are ending the stream as of right now.